Well, g'day everyone. So I'm here with my friend Cora. She's just having her breakfast, but I thought I'd talk to you a little bit about, oh no, my horse has white wool separation. What do I do? G'day everyone, I'm Zoe and this is Kahu. This is just a little reminder that I'm not a professional horse trainer, so anything you do see in my videos is only intended to be a guide. So with that said, let's get on with the video. When your farrier mentions your horse has white wool separation, and no, this is not the same thing as having an infection inside the hoof wall, although it can lead to that, it can be quite daunting when your farrier says you need to check this out, you need to do something about this. But it doesn't have to be that scary, and you don't have to freak out and fork out thousands to fix the problem if you catch it early. Now Cora does have a little bit in her near side front one here, so let's take a look at her foot and see what we can do for her. Now, as I mentioned, it doesn't have to be a scary thing, and Cora's doing exactly what I wanted to do beautifully. Now, the first thing you obviously need to do is clean out your horse's feet, and the more frequently that you can do this, the more you know what's going on with your own horse before the farrier says, hey, there's an issue here. So the more frequently that you can pick it out, try to keep on top of issues before they set in, you'll have a much happier, healthy horse and a much happier, less stressful year if you can stay on top of it before it gets too bad. So let's pick out Cora's foot and see what's going on. Good girl. Now, as she has been on sand, there isn't too much to take out, but let's clean her out. So, as you can see, Cora is actually barefoot. Now, this just means that I don't have shoes on her. Now, you might just about see this scrape along the side. I'll just clean it out. She's got a tiny bit of separation here, just at the side. I'll try and zoom in. Now, you can probably just see this little bit of a line that's forming here. That's just going in between her inner sole of her foot and the outer sole of her hoof, and the white line that sits in between all of that. I'll drop a picture in here so you get an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, so hopefully you'll be able to see there that there's just this bit of separation just alongside her hoof wall here. So let's see what we can do. Okay, so you're going to need a few things to fix this sort of issue. I personally like to use some disposable gloves here, just because I like to use a mixture of bluestone to try to treat any issues that may be there as well. And it can be very messy, very sticky, and it doesn't like to wash out of clothing too well. So I do prefer to use gloves just so that I'm not in that subconscious habit of wipe it on your jeans. You'll also need your hoof pick and some cotton wool. So let's get down to business. Yeah. Okay, so Cora just had her foot in the sand, so let's just dust her out again and get those tiny particles back out of that separation. Now, how did this separation happen, you might be asking? Well, what's happened is her hoof has likely gotten a little bit on the soft side. She may have had a couple of tiny little holes, microscopic holes that got inside this groove, and then things like very small gravel found themselves in those tiny little pockets. And then as she has been walking around, they've nestled themselves in there and gradually opened up and turned into this separation on her hoof. So what I can do now for her, first things first, I've got my bluestone, which I've mixed bluestone, which is copper sulfate. I've mixed that in with some Vaseline and some pseudo cream just to make up a bit of a paste that blends quite well and puts up with a little bit of water. And the other thing I'm going to need is some of my cotton wool balls. So the first thing I'm going to do here is put a tiny bit of my bluestone into that crevice. And what this will also do is if there was any underlying infection, let's say she had the start of white line disease or other similar things going on, this would also help stop that in its tracks and stop any infection getting worse, because it is a type of fungal infection. And then what I'm doing here is I'm getting tiny bits of cotton wool ball that you can get from pharmacies, possibly your local supermarkets may sell small bags of it because you don't need very much of it. And then you're going to use your hoof pick. And what you're going to do is you're going to push that cotton wool into that crevice as much as you can without hurting your horse. You want to make sure you're not purposely trying to hurt them. All you're trying to do is push that cotton wool into the crevice. And if you look like it might need, like Cora's does, to add a tiny bit more, then add a little bit more. It's easier to do little bits at a time than to do a whole lot at once, because then you're actually just making it harder for yourself, especially if you've got a horse that doesn't want to stand still. So again, I'm going to push this right in there, right into the crevice. And this is why I said you don't need very much bluestone when you start, because it's going to likely push it back out again a little bit when you start pushing the cotton wool into the crevice. So now that that's nice and snug and in there, I'm going to re-seal that over with a bit of bluestone, and you'll have something that looks a bit like this. Now, if you're wondering why I use the cotton wool into the crevice, what it does is it forms a little bit of a band-aid, if you will, within the hoof. So it stops more gravel and that being able to be taking up that space within the crevice. So it helps to make the issue worse and give the hoof a chance to grow out, and gradually, of course, this will shave off on hard surfaces over time until her next trim, and then it will have a chance to actually heal and seal over. So let's just double check the rest of her hoof and make sure she doesn't have anything else. Okay, so she doesn't have anything else going on here, but she has the start of thrush getting in either side of her frog here. So just to play it safe, I'm going to put a little bit of bluestone just in there, just to make sure that I got on top of that. And you'll know thrush when it's starting to get there, because you'll have something that looks sort of like it's this black tarry stuff that'll get in there. And sometimes you'll also end up where the white tissue of the frog, it sort of gets powdery. So that's a sign that you've got some infection and other issues going on. So it's a good idea to sort of get your bluestone in there, treat that. So that's Cora's front done. Let's go check her other ones and I'll give you an update. Okay, so that's Cora's feet done. She had a little bit of separation on her offside front as well. So I just did exactly the same thing that I showed you on this foot just behind me. So that's all good. She'll be fine now for a few days. I do not need to pick this out every day. It doesn't really get any benefit from it. She'll get better benefit from me just doing it probably 2, maybe 3 times a week at most, probably a couple of times a week. And then that will slowly heal. And as her foot grows out, that separation will eventually disappear. Now, I am in no means a vet, nor am I a farrier. This is just what I have found that's worked from my first-hand experience, and also from what my farrier has also recommended I do to try to rectify different issues as they've come up. He's very good at talking to me and guiding me through different things of what's going on and making me very much aware of these things. So that's about all for this video. I hope you enjoyed seeing Cora for a change. And as always, guys, I will see you in another video. Catch you next time. Don't forget to like, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you can stay up to date with what's going on in our world.